I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks back when I was 18. And in those 2 weeks, I realized something crucial that I still hold dear to me to this day. And it's not a thought, it's more a feeling than a thought. And it's that if you know no one, you're free to do whatever. And I don't mean harming anyone or doing illegal stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is you're free of judgment if there's no one in your close proximity to make you feel ridiculed, right? So this gives you the freedom to do and to live however you want to live and whatever you want to do. Because basically, there's no mental barrier for you to overstep to continue doing what you want to do. There's no one to begin with because there's no one to impress and no one to disappoint both sides that you might have to look out for, right? So that's why it opens doors for you to go through the way that when you're connected to someone, it wouldn't do. For example, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, as I said, and in those 2 weeks, I was missed by no one. I was not contacted by anyone. I was so miserable. My life was horrible. I felt awful. And I needed someone. I really needed someone. But I didn't have anyone close to me or close enough to me to know what was happening to me. Actually, I had a friend that I was close with, and she was my neighbor, and we spent a lot of time together. But she always just used me as like a space filler. If she didn't find anyone to go out with, she would ask me. If she didn't want to go out alone, she asked me. If something needed to be done and she couldn't get herself to go alone, she would ask me. Like, I was a space like filler, a placeholder for her actual friends. And back when I was younger, I was alone enough to ignore this point because I always knew that she used me as a filler friend, but I was lonely enough to accept it. When I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, she didn't bother to contact and ask me what was wrong. And even after, she didn't bother because I wasn't important enough to her to be contacted to ask if everything was okay, right? She was just generally a bad friend. She wasn't a trustful friend. She was not someone you would want to share secrets with, right? And it hurt me enough for me to understand that her not being interested in my well-being also gave me kind of freedom to do whatever. Because if I was close with her and she was considered the cooler one in our group dynamic, then I'd have to be careful of what I do and what I say and what I like to be part of her friend group, right? But I didn't care enough about her, and that made me open to do whatever. I was also not close with any relatives that I had because they lived far enough away for me to never grow close to them. And also, my parents and I never grew into a good relationship. Like, we didn't get along with each other enough that I trusted them. And so what held me together with my parents was only that I had to live with them back then. And except for that, there was nothing that connected me to them. And not having to impress anyone, not having to, not being able to disappoint anyone, not having to make anyone happy, not having to keep up any expectations, inside the family dynamic, or generally wherever, in a friendship, in a relationship, wherever, I felt freedom in this. I felt the freedom to do whatever I was interested in doing without any shame, without any feeling that I needed to hide. And when I realized that, I was so lonely. Like, I was at my worst. I was so low, I didn't think I could go another day. While I was inside of this pitch black loneliness, I noticed that being lonely is also a lot of freedom, because the people you're surrounding yourself with, if you're not really close to them, you have a feeling that you have to keep up with them and that you might have to impress them in a way to continue this group relationship that you have, this friendship dynamic that you have. I keep saying dynamic, but I can't find another word right now. But you get what I mean. Not having all of this around you made me an invisible person. It made me a ghost going through this world. It made me hop into situations without being able to embarrass myself, except for in front of strangers maybe, which I really didn't care enough for. I mean, embarrassing yourself in front of friends that you're not really close enough with to be open with, and being embarrassed in front of a stranger, or getting embarrassed in front of a stranger, is really not the same, is it? I mean, falling down in front of a stranger might feel embarrassing for like 2 minutes, or it might, follow you for a whole day, and you might think about it for a while, but it's not as embarrassing as someone that might laugh into your face about it. And so I got to the conclusion pretty fast that it was a good thing that I was at my lowest alone, but I also allowed myself to feel lonely and bad about it, right? Because I needed people to be around me that were good to me, but since I couldn't get that, and I wouldn't get that in the near future, I decided to surround myself with the thought that loneliness is also freedom. Loneliness is my door into being who I want to be without anyone from the outside forming me. And since I'm pretty boring, I'd say I would describe my personality as pretty boring, I just continued the way I wanted my life to continue, and that was totally immersing myself inside my hobbies, doing nothing else but my hobbies. Basically, I was drawing the whole day, I was reading the entire day, I was just online the entire day. And no one was judging me about it, because there was no one around me that I was close with to do that. And when this one friend bothered to contact me again because she didn't want to go out alone or spend time alone by herself, I went no contact with her. And at first it felt weird because I lost another person, but she wasn't really meaning anything to me, right? So losing her was not really a loss, it was more of a burden getting rid of. So I surrounded myself only with myself, and that got me to find one or two friends online that shared the same interests. It got me to be around different kinds of people. And yes, I might still be lonely sometimes, but I ended the space that I didn't want to be in anymore that time, at such a right time, being the most lonely and vulnerable, to grow into another friend group and another community that was much healthier and much better than the one I was in before, which also made me mentally healthier, is what I'm trying to say. So something ending and something feeling like an end and a loss might not always be a bad thing, because losing the ones you're surrounding yourself with right now might be people that you shouldn't be with to begin with, right? Maybe they're making your situation much worse and you don't need them to be around you. Maybe you need this going all no contact to turn yourself into these new opportunities, and maybe even an entire new life structure and into a new life phase. Right now that I have like a fiance, and his parents are great. They're really supportive. They are in deep contact with their son, of course, and because I'm close to their son, also me, I get to experience this parent love, and I like it. I love it even. But I also enjoyed this no contact situation with my parents as well, because it gave me the freedom to not care about their judgment since I didn't have any contact with them. But now that I have my own parents kind of replacement in a way, I mean, they will always be my fiance's parents first before I will ever feel like I am their daughter. But now I have a feeling that I have to be good enough to make them proud. And I hate that feeling. I don't like it. I don't like always putting other people in front of myself and wanting them to feel good first before I feel good. And that's something I have to work on myself. Like, that is a me problem. I get it. But I don't think I will ever get that feeling off of me that I have to impress them in a way, to be a good daughter. And since like I always make this comparison about my parents and them, because when I imagine my parents, there's no sudden feeling that I have to make them proud. There's just no feeling at all. I don't feel anything for them. But when I think about the parents of my fiance, I feel the need to make them proud of me. And there's some feelings filling this space that they hold in my brain. And it controls me in a way. It controls me in a way that I am not free enough to do whatever, because they might get disappointed by the things that I do without considering them. And that's what, at the end of the day, is holding me back. It holds me attached to their feelings instead of mine. And I think about them first before I think about myself. And that is wrong. That is not good. And I shouldn't feel that way with anyone, really, because I'm a grown-up now. I can do whatever without feeling any shame or burden. But I still do, because I just grew up in this mentality that if I don't make them happy and I don't make them proud of me and I don't impress them in a way, that I will not love me enough and leave me. And that is a child inside of me that is speaking. That is the child inside of me that never got the healing that it needed. And I understand that enough to separate it as a thought, but not as a feeling. So I'm still controlled by it. I don't know if you understand that, but what happens if I don't make them proud? What happens if they're disappointed in me? Nothing. Nothing will happen. The dynamic will still stay the same. They will not hate me. They will just think of me a bit differently. That might be okay, but do I dare step that line? No, because my inner child is strong enough to not do that, because it controls me. My past is controlling the present, and thus is also controlling my future, because I cannot grow into the person I want to grow into. I stay the way I was in the past, and that's hindering me from growing. That is something that I have to change, because going no contact with everyone will long time not function. It will not work out. And me separating myself from the feeling that I have to make them proud is a much better option than losing everyone again. Because this time I would lose good people, not bad people. And it would hurt a lot more to be alone this time. So I'm trying to understand the feeling and trying to get a grip of the freedom feeling that I had back then when I felt my loneliest, when I felt like a ghost. And at the same time, I'm trying to understand how to manage this feeling surrounded by the people that I have surrounded myself with without fearing their loss. Because first, if I lose them just because I'm trying to be myself, and being myself means cutting my hair the way I want it to, getting tattoos the way I want to, dressing the way I want to, and this is all things that is not harming anyone, right? I'm not doing drugs, I'm not doing alcoholism, not doing any of those things. And if I'm losing them just because I am myself and the way I express myself, were they even worth keeping close to begin with? Because obviously they're hindering you from just being your natural self. Why would you want to stay in contact with them? And I'm not only talking about the parents, I'm talking about this entire community around me, or this entire friend group, and each unique one of them, right? I'm not talking about someone specifically. So if I lose them because I'm trying to be myself, were they really worth keeping to begin with, is what I'm trying to say. And second, have I really lost something when I lose them just because I'm trying to express myself in my own way? Since I'm not harming anyone, what am I doing wrong? Isn't it good that I just separate myself from people that don't accept me the way I am? Or is it worth staying the same to keep them around me? I think the first one. I don't think you should keep people around you however much you like them. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't keep them around you if they hinder you from growing into your unique self. And I think it's also worth knowing that people come and go, and this earth is so full of people. You will not end connecting with people just because you lost one or two people, even if you lost a whole community. There are so many of us everywhere, like a plague, actually, that you will always be able to find another connection. I don't think we understand most of the time the size of this earth and how many people live here, how endless it basically is to make connections. And if there's a type of person, there will be someone fitting for this type of person. Definitely, because we are too many for us to be so unique that there is only one of us on this earth. I mean, personality wise, right? There will always be someone who shares your interests. There will always be someone who shares the things you like and don't like. And statistically, it's even closer that there's someone who likes and dislikes the exact same things as you do, than you being the only person on this godforsaken earth that has those interests that you have. The number of humans on this earth is just way too big for you to be alone with your own opinions, with your own unique thoughts and interests. There's just no way. So losing someone, yes, it depends on the person you're losing. That might either feel freeing or make you feel more lonely. But at the end of the day, what you have to remember is sometimes the chapter of your friendship ends with this one situation that happened. Their role in your book was just closed. So now you go your own way and they go their own way, and it's just like that. And new people will enter your book the further you go into the chapters of your life. If someone bothers you enough that you cannot continue living your life the way you want to, either lose the person or you need to change something drastically inside yourself. Because obviously that's toxic. And I'm also talking about myself, because the way I think that I have to make the parents of my fiance proud is so toxic, and it keeps me from living my life freely, that I totally have to do something about it. And I have to begin with this healing in the past, right? In my own past. Because obviously the child inside of myself wanted to impress my parents and never got to, because whatever I did, it was never enough. I think what is also important is always try to notice how you behave, how you think, how you deal with things, because only then you get the keys to the room that is bothering you, where you can actually change something. Because if you don't know yourself, what is there to change? You don't have access to anything. If I didn't know that my childhood is the problem here, how would I be able to fix the problem? I have to know that it's the inner child in me that is still hurt in such a way that it bothers me in my present time. And I think we all just have to get a little bit more emotionally intelligent at least enough to recognize your own patterns and enough to watch how you behave and what bothers you and what your problem is inside of your head to go deeper to fix the problem. So, yeah, that is all for today. I hope this kind of helped, however, it may help you. I feel like saying things out loud really helps. So, I'm really grateful to have this channel, to have this opportunity. And I hope this helps you the way it helps me. They're so uniquely lived. Like, you may not understand what I'm talking about, but you may have felt it once. And if you felt it once, then that's already pretty good to get to a deeper connection with yourself, to eventually understand what is wrong and to be able to change something inside of yourself to get better, to get healthier, and to grow and to become the person you want to eventually become. So, thank you for staying until this point. I'm happy you watched this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed recording this. And I will definitely see you in the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye.